Standing emergency. Standing emergency.
My mom and Jeffy are having a fight.
Is he hitting her?
Stop it! Send the police, please.
Okay, we're going to be there. We're taking your
I was a mother of 2 children. I was beaten by a baseball bat by my husband.
My beat me and stabbed me, then put me in his trunk.
I was supposed to meet my son, but my husband shot me.
I filed for divorce, and then my ex-husband stabbed me with a kitchen knife.
My boyfriend shoved me in a storage unit, and my body was found
I was sitting at the table reading my newspaper when my husband came up behind me and struck me in the head with a hammer.
I was struck on the head multiple times and shocked by a stun gun more than 20 times.
My boyfriend struck me more than a dozen times in the head with a hammer because he was jealous. And I was killed.
And I was killed.
I was killed.
I was killed.
And I was killed.
Because of domestic violence.
Domestic violence took each of these lives right here in Lorain County. Although most of its victims were women, men also get domestically abused. In fact, 1 out of 4 women will be a victim at some point. But what exactly is domestic violence?
Domestic violence actually can have many different forms. We think of it in terms of actually physically pushing, shoving, hitting, that kind of thing. And that's one of the reasons why many people who are victims of domestic violence or would be considered them may say, well, I really wasn't.
But it was. Here in Lorain County, there is a place to help victims of domestic violence, but it isn't any ordinary place. Take a look at this fence. It's known as the Happy Fence, and it's located at the Genesis House Outreach Center on Elyria Avenue. It contains 400 planks, each with a positive message to support victims of domestic violence in our area.
I wanted our outreach building to feel comforting to folks. It's where we have support groups. It's where survivors do come to pick up donations. So I wanted them to feel really loved. So I started with groups just creating fence posts. And it just caught on like wildfire. It was insane.
According to dictionary.com, domestic violence is any violent or aggressive behavior within the home, whether it be verbally, physically, or sexually. The judges and magistrates at the Lorain County Domestic Relations Court handle a full slate of domestic violence cases daily.
Approximately each judge has about 300 cases. So 900 cases, Lorain County domestic related cases.
And that's only the number of cases in Lorain County alone. There are at least 15 services available right here in Lorain County for victims to seek guidance.
Well, in Lorain County, we have a lot of different programs where they can get help. And once they are ready to get the help, Lorain County is very supportive, different agencies, the court, to get them the help. I would first convince them or make sure they understand that they need to get the help. They need to reach out, whether it's going to the police, going to an organization like Genesis House.
Which is a great option. The Genesis House is a family-focused domestic violence service.
The Genesis House is the only domestic violence shelter in Lorain County. We have a wide range of ways that we help survivors. It's really where they need us during their experiences or process with domestic violence. So for prevention education, we are the ones who see people hopefully before they get into abusive relationships. We have intervention, where intervention is meeting people who are already in abusive relationships and need a place to go, or just supportive information. So the shelter is a space where folks can come immediately if their home life is too dangerous for them.
When a victim feels unsafe, there are multiple paths to take when seeking a professional who can provide safety and guidance.
They can go for counseling. They can also, there are many places that offer even free group counseling where you could go anonymously to get help if you're afraid to. They could talk to their family doctor. That there's lots of professions where people can help. They can also even just talk to the police.
And the options for victims are endless. Help is also just a simple phone call away.
You can call the 1-800 numbers and just totally anonymous. So because it's hard to come forward with stuff sometimes. You know, it could be embarrassing, it could be intimidating. You don't want to get in trouble, you're afraid you're going to get hurt. This is a big deal. Could be a life or death type of situation
that no one should ever go through. But did you know there are trained peers waiting daily inside the doors of Steele High School who are willing to listen and help you?
One of our always first and biggest supporters has always been Amherst, and specifically Kim Haney in the MedTech group. So what Kim Haney did early on was she kind of folded all of our Teen Street Team curriculum into her long-term school-based curriculum. One of our always first and biggest supporters has always been Amherst. And their goal is to be people who their peers can go to and ask, is this abusive? I just want to run something past you. Or, like, I'm in danger, like I could use some advice. Who do I talk to?
My name is Bailey Smith and I'm part of the Teen Street Team.
My name is Madison Baker and I've been a part of the Teen Street Team here at our school for 1.5 years.
My name is Camden Gross and I'm part of the Teen Street Team.
Meg McIntyre is a worker for the Genesis House. She was the one who trained us, and she went over all the warning signs of someone who's going through any of these things, and she taught us how to respond and react to these people.
You tell the victims that they are not alone and that it is okay to talk about it, and you never make them feel like they did something wrong.
I tell people I believe them and I make sure they feel comfortable.
The Teen Street Team is active throughout the school year. Not only are they available to talk to, they also promote awareness of this important topic around the school.
And so we host frames with each domestic violence victim's story in the frame. And then we place them in empty chairs with a little votive candle. We also extended that into the classroom, where we did teens who've died of domestic or intimate violence with their partners. And we set them in the classrooms where we asked the teachers to host a seat
for these victims who lost their lives. And that's not the only way the students at Steele receive domestic violence awareness education.
It's called Fashion Statement. It's a thing we're doing this year with MedTech. We had 6 young women dress in clothing that was inspired by domestic violence awareness. And they put masks on, and then they stood, when the bell rang and students came in, they stood like mannequins holding domestic violence awareness information. It's not just a poster hanging up with statistics. It's actually a live human being dressed with information or, encouraging students to walk over and engage a little bit.
Perhaps you didn't see the display, or maybe you just didn't pick up the information. Regardless, if you're a victim of domestic violence or know somebody who is, you should take one action. Speak up.
For people who haven't come out yet, it is good to know that you are not the only one and there are other people out there who are dealing with the same thing, and coming out and talking about it really gets everything off your chest and it'll get you help.
Please say something. I know that oftentimes survivors are getting messages from their batterers that nobody's going to believe you, nobody is going to respect you, you can never get away from me, you're not worth getting help, you did this is somehow your fault. That manipulative language that you're hearing is all lies.
My advice with someone that is not come forward and they're in an abusive situation, there's a need to break the cycle. There's a thing called a domestic violence cycle. And what that is, there's usually a buildup, there's the event, and then there's the honeymoon phase, and it kind of repeats itself in domestic violence.
Being able to identify this process and taking action can possibly save your life. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence estimates that domestic violence occurs 20 times every minute. That means that in the time it took to watch this video, 160 people have been abused. Will they speak up?